I work, but if I get behind on the bills or daycare or whatever, they try to help me the best way they can.
Mm. I remember when I first met you, there was one phrase you kept saying.
I was by myself.
Yes.
I didn't have nobody. Like,
Yeah.
I had no family at all in Nashville. I never went out to meet people, so I really knew nobody in Nashville. I kept telling him I'm by myself.
And
I
I'd
didn't
say,
have nobody.
nope. I'd say, no, you're not. And she goes, yes, I am. I said, no, you're not. I said, I have 1,000 people behind me that you don't see.
This podcast explores stories of people who invest their lives to serve others. The topics and interviews in this show are intended to inspire all of us to live our best story so others can fully discover the kingdom effect. Hey guys, welcome to this episode. Hey, before we get started, I wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up that this episode is a little different in a very good way. Before we talk about that, we've been through 2 episodes now, Glenn, Scott Hord, about standing in front of Planned Parenthood and trying to help ladies change their mind about abortion. So I was just wondering, after those couple of episodes, what's your takeaway, man?
Man, Kevin, I think the biggest takeaway for me was I had no idea that Planned Parenthood was founded based on racism, based on trying to minimize the population of African Americans and other minorities in the country. That was a complete shock to me. You know, I've always heard of abortion, been against abortion, have my own personal faith beliefs and things about abortion, but I had no clue that was the basis for the foundation of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, it is surprising and shocking the first time you hear about how the whole thing started. And, you know, just to provide a little bit of credibility, there's a great documentary on the history of Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood. When we post this episode tomorrow, I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. So I'll link you to a YouTube documentary on the history behind it. And it's a very credible documentary. It's not based on feelings or emotions. It's based on facts. So it'll be very interesting. So for me, you know, I've known Scott for a little while, but every time I revisit the story, it's shock you, you know, the statistics and the numbers. We were saying before we started recording here that if he's actually rescued 355 or 56 babies, how many have not been rescued in that same 2-year time period, right? So the traffic and the number of abortions that happen even right here in Nashville is staggering. So
yeah, I was going to say that number is just Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, just think statewide, nationwide, how huge that number is.
Yeah. The other thing that's really was a takeaway for me, which actually is why we want to talk before the episode actually starts, is the fact that we just got to see, you know, a little boy that is alive now that wouldn't be alive had not Scott been standing in front of Planned Parenthood. So how did you feel just to have Keyshawn in the room as we were doing the interview?
Oh man, it was great. You know, he and his brother both were there with mom, and it is such a blessing to get to see that and experience that. You know, we talk all the time about how most people that are in the dirt, you know, stay dirty. They don't get to see the end result of their work. And so it's really cool to get to experience that. You got smacked in the face with the microphone.
A couple of times, yeah. Yeah, he was definitely pulling on wires and hitting on the bottom of the table. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's always good. And I hope our listeners, as they hear the kids playing in the background, I hope that they really, as they hear that, you know, what's going through their mind is, hey, this is a kid that I'm hearing, you know, coming through my speakers that is here today because of what Scott did and what he continues to do.
Yeah, crazy, pretty amazing. So with that, guys, just keep in mind that we had a couple of crazy kids and Laterica was trying to manage all that. And so the audio may not be the quality that you're used to with the Kingdom Effect, but it's so worth it to have those kids in the room. And we really hope you guys enjoy this episode number 4 of the Kingdom Effect, Engaging Abortion with Scott Hord and Operation Saving Life.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Kingdom Effect. I'm Glenn, and I'm here with Kevin.
Hey guys.
Scott Horde.
Hey.
And Laterica.
Hello.
And we're here just to continue where we left off last episode. We talked with Scott about his ministry at Planned Parenthood and his mission to save lives. Scott, why don't you introduce Laterica for us?
Yeah, we have a special guest with us today. We have Laterica Thomas, her beautiful son Keyshawn, and her other beautiful son Kingston.
Hey, all K's.
Yeah.
I told them earlier my name started with K's too, so I'm in the club.
You're in the club.
We're out. But Miss Laterica, how long ago was it? It's been at least, Keyshawn is 2 years old.
Well, he'll be 2 on the 30th.
Yeah, so it's been just over 2 years ago that we met at here in Nashville, just outside of a Planned Parenthood. And so I met this courageous mom who chose life, and here we are sitting here today with her beautiful children, her beautiful sons.
Just to set that up too, for those who may be joining the first time, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a missionary for the unborn of our nation. Each day I wake up, go to Planned Parenthood Nashville, and love mamas and share truth and try to talk them out of aborting their children. And then we journey with those moms and kids and help them. That's what I do.
Yeah, and Laterica made a great decision when she met you, right?
That is correct. Met Laterica, I guess it's probably 2.5 years ago, and it was a special moment.
Do you remember kind of what was going on in your life during that time, Laterica? And thank you, by the way, so much for being here. I know it's might be hard to talk about some of these things, but thank you.
I had been in Nashville for almost 5 years at the time, and me and my baby daddy was staying in a hotel, and I had Kingston already, and I was like, I didn't want to bring another baby into the world that I can't take care of, because I was barely taking care of him and myself at the time. I had already had doubts, like me and my grandma, she was in Memphis and I was in Nashville. We came up with the money for me to get an abortion. My kid's father, he wanted me to get an abortion at the time. I never had believed in abortions, but at that time, the situation that we was in, I felt like that was probably the best thing to do other than bring the child into the world that I wouldn't be able to take care of. So I was at the abortion clinic. Me and my grandma from Memphis came up with the money. We talked about it, but my kid's daddy, he was like pressuring me to get an abortion because of the situation that we was in. Basically, we didn't want to have to bring another baby in the world that we couldn't take care of. So the day that I pulled up at Planned Parenthood, I was sitting in my car, Pastor Scott, and I think Mr. Jeremy, is that his name?
I can't remember who was with me that day.
I think it was Jeremy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But they was flagging me down, want to talk to me, and the type of person I am, I always talk to people, just hear what they had to say. Pastor Scott started talking to me about the Bible and the beliefs and all that. So I was telling him that I believed everything that he was saying, because I always went to church as a little girl, and I really didn't believe in abortion. So it was just like everything he was talking about and telling me was basically my life and how things could get better and how that people can help and all that. So I ended up talking to Miss Kathy, and I didn't get the abortion that day. He followed me over to the clinic to get an ultrasound, and I talked to Miss Kathy and like told her the living situation that I was in. And like probably less than a month, I was moving in my own apartment, and they had helped me pay the deposit and first month rent, the light bill, grocery cards, everything that I needed. Like, they was always there. Finally, I got rid of my baby daddy, so it was just me and the kids, and I was still stressing about going to work, and I got a baby, and I'm pregnant, I need to work, and all that. So I ended up getting a job at Chick-fil-A, staying in an apartment in Smyrna, and it worked out pretty good.
I bet you say my pleasure a lot, don't you?
I do. Like, they really helped a lot, and I was grateful, and I started back going to church and reading the Bible and having talks with Miss Kathy, like, as a mentor. Like, anything that was going on in life, like, I feel like I can talk to her about it. She became a friend to me. And Pastor Scott always, you need anything? You okay? You sure you need anything? But he makes sure that we okay. They check in on us even while we're in Memphis. I still talk to Miss Kathy a lot. So she pretty much be knowing everything that's going on. They still help me, like I work, but if I get behind on the bills or daycare or whatever, they try to help me the best way they can.
I remember when I first met you, there was one phrase you kept saying.
I was by myself.
Yes.
I didn't have nobody. Like
Yeah.
I had no family at all in Nashville. I never went out to meet people, so I really knew nobody in Nashville. I kept telling him I'm by myself.
And
I
I'd
didn't
say,
have nobody.
nope. I'd say, no, you're not. And she goes, yes, I am. I said, no, you're not. I said, I have 1,000 people behind me that you don't see. And we would talk for a little bit. And she goes, but I'm by myself. I said, no, you're not. And what'd I do? Do you remember what I did?
Yeah, he came to take me to go get some clothes for me and the kids. And the man at the store that Pastor Scott knew, like he just walked up to the cash register and paid for all our clothes. And Pastor Scott didn't have to pay for nothing.
Wow.
So what's crazy is I wanted to prove to her that she wasn't alone.
Yeah.
And so I said, let me prove it to you by meeting a practical need. And I said, what do you need? They needed clothes. She needed clothes, and Kingston needed some clothes. And so I told her, I said, go to Kohl's, get $150 worth of clothes. I'll meet you at the cash register about 6:30. And so I walked in, and I was getting ready to pay for it. And a guy walks in that I've never met, goes, are you Scott? And I said, yes. And he goes, I know who you are, and I think I know what's going on here. And he actually looked at Laterica and goes, and I want to tell you, you're not alone.
Wow.
And paid for it. And I was like, high five her. I said, I told you.
That's awesome.
And so that began the journey.
Yeah.
Right there. It's been awesome. And so she's been amazing. She has pressed through some very hard times and has been faithful. And she's a very courageous mom and a good mom.
That's awesome.
Laterica, when you were in the car on your way to Planned Parenthood, had you made your mind up at that point, or did you still have doubt?
I still had doubt. Like, I was so confused at the time. I needed the money to pay for the hotel for the next week, really. I didn't know how I was going to get the money. And the money that I had that I was finna get an abortion with was like all I had. So I'm really in doubt, like, is this really what I want to do? Is God going to, how I'm going to feel? Is I'm like have regrets and be thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? So I had a lot of doubt. I was really scared. And they made it better though, I'm saying. I was glad, like now, my baby, Keyshawn, he's a blessing. Like, he's a totally different child. Everybody loves him. Everybody go crazy about Keyshawn. They love him.
He's a beautiful boy as well as Kingston. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's really advanced. But I'm glad that I didn't get the abortion. I don't know. Life would have been different. I probably would have had the help that I have now. Or I probably would have never even got to know who Pastor Scott or Miss Kathy, who they were or anything if I didn't stay there and listen and believe in him, basically. Like, I put trust and belief in Pastor Scott that day because I was so nervous.
You know, we get asked that a lot in doing this ministry. How far do you go, or what do you do beyond the rescue? Tell me about Miss Kathy and what she means to you, and what does that look like on a daily basis?
Miss Kathy is amazing. That's like my granny to me. Me and my granny is real close, and I call my grandma my best friend, and Miss Kathy is about the same, my best friend. I can talk to her about personal things. It don't matter what time of the night it is. It can be 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. I call her phone, and she's going to answer or text me, like, what's wrong, everything okay. We go out to eat, we shop together, we laugh. Like, we have a good time when we together. That's a real friend to me / mother type. But Miss Kathy is amazing. She never judged me. I done made a lot of bad decisions, even while since I've been knowing them, I still have made the wrong decisions about certain things. And she be honest, like, she tell me what I did wrong, what I should have did. She don't sugarcoat anything. She like straightforward, and then at the same time she just sweet. She loving. She's real sweet. I love Miss Kathy. She's a big part of my life.
And that Miss Kathy would be part of.
Yeah, she's part of Operation Saving Life and what we do. Yeah, we have people like me on the street, and then we have people that aren't necessarily on the street all the time, but walk with the moms, because I can't do that role. I don't need to be doing that role. And so we have women that make disciples, because that's what we're called to do as the church.
Yeah.
So
Well, the way she was describing the way that you guys continue to meet her needs, I mean, that's Acts chapter 2 church, right?
Mhm.
Right
Yeah.
there, which I
Yeah.
think is lost a lot in the modern Western church.
Yeah, well, when we think about discipleship, we think the ultimate goal of discipleship now in the church is just get people to church.
Mm-hmm.
And true discipleship is what happens on Monday, and we care about what happens in Laterica's life on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday.
Right.
And I think the church has lost that.
Yeah, like I know it's a lot of times like where I'm stressed out or I have a lot going on. Like I done had a rough day, stressful day. I call Miss Kathy and ask her like, can she pray for me sometimes? And she just pray. Like we sit on the phone for hours. She do like 2 or 3 different prayers and make sure that I'm going through the Bible or reading my books that she give me. But it's a lot of time where I have to call her where I'm stressed out and about to give up, and I just be like, can you pray for me? Because I don't go to church as much as I used to in Memphis. I don't know. I just don't have the time. Most Sundays I'm working. If I call her and have her to pray for me, I feel like my whole week or month go much better than what it was going.
Yeah. What do you think would have happened that day if Scott were not there?
I mean, I honestly don't know. At that time, it was like a good chance that I was going to pay my money. That was the first appointment. And the first appointment, I believe, was $275. They want the actually day for me to get the abortion, but it was to start the procedure. So I believe I was going to get my money that day.
Yeah.
Because the life that I was living was not proper at all.
Yeah. We talk a lot on this podcast about just little decisions that we make along the way, you know, that and it actually, you know, you made a huge beautiful decision that day that's going to have generations of good consequences to it. But it's also interesting that, you know, we talked in our last episode about times where Scott came to decision points as well, you know, Pastor Scott, and it's just amazing to see these kids here today, which is awesome. We love it. And knowing that, you know, at least one of these kids are thriving, you know, and have a good mother that loves her and cares about them, because one day Scott walked through the woods, you know, and chose to hear from the Lord. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, what they call it, the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah,
Have you ever heard
right.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody impacted me, and I impacted her, and she impacted people as well. So it just continues on.
Yeah. It's so easy. I want to say hard, but really it's so easy to make the right decision, right? Like if you keep the vision of what God's called you to do and the kingdom effect, which we talk about, it's really easy to make the right decision. Our flesh may not think that, but
Right. Yeah, you walk according to the Holy Spirit and stay away from sin. Don't let stupid things get in the way. Then you'll walk in the heart and the will of God and do what He's called you to do. But when we walk in our flesh, it's also easy to make the wrong decision.
yeah,
So
for sure.
we need encouragement. Laterica needed encouragement that day. I need encouragement every day to keep going. All of us do, to keep doing what's right. It's amazing how easy it is to do what's right, but it's amazing how quickly we can drift
Yeah.
and be prone to do what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Laterica, what are your goals for yourself and both your boys?
We trying to move to a better place, basically to get further away from my close family. They think they can come over every day, so it can just be me and my kids. Really, I'm working at the airport. I really got a good chance of becoming a manager there. They want to move me up. So
Awesome.
I'm gonna stay there for a minute. I really want to become a chef and work like in a fancy restaurant type.
Mm.
Or if not, I would like to have a food truck. Is what I wanted. I want my own food truck.
What kind of food would you make?
Cook everything.
Everything? Soul
I've
food?
heard you're a great
Soul
cook.
food,
She's a
American,
great cook.
Seafood, Italian, anything. I
Mm.
just love cooking.
Kingston, you want to say something into the mic, buddy?
What you gonna say?
Tell us your name. Say your name in the microphone.
What's your name?
He's shy now.
Keyshawn's not.
Keyshawn.
a mile a minute.
Keyshawn.
I love to cook too. I'm actually the cook at my house.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
I've never been invited for dinner.
I cook a lot. Like I take it serious. I have special knives that
What'd you
I
do?
use
Oh yeah.
to cook with.
Oh,
So
yeah, you take it serious.
yeah.
Need to do a podcast on cooking then, huh?
There we go.
So what's a good dish you like to cook?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been told my best dish is my Caribbean jerk chicken tacos.
Oh.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, when we went camping a couple weeks ago, we had planned on cooking dinner on the fire, and you ended up taking me to a Mexican restaurant. What was up with that?
That sounds pretty good though.
Well-
as well.
Well, it was a tropical storm. Something was supposed to blow
was.
through that night. So
Yeah. Laterica, what do you like to cook?
Well, my specialty is the chicken rotel. It's basically like spaghetti rotel.
yeah,
With
yeah.
chicken and the white cheese sauce.
Oh, that
And
sounds
it's
good.
Rotel, but it'd be good. I start to add broccoli in it, so it really be good. But a lot of my family, like we have family events, they always want me to make spaghetti. So
Yeah.
they love my spaghetti.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What about the boys? What do they like to do?
Ooh, they a handful.
No.
They are truly all
You don't
boys.
say.
They run around. They like to climb on things. They really like dinosaurs. Like they into dinosaurs right now.
Uh huh.
But whatever Kingston do, Keyshawn wanna do.
Yeah.
Like, they fight a lot. I have to stop them from fighting. They tease each other. But they thing to eat, Kingston love chicken and rice. Like the Campbell's can of chicken and rice. They sit up and eat a whole can of that.
My little girl, she's a little older. She's 9, but that girl will all weekend long eat nothing but tomato soup. Hey, what do you want for dinner? Tomato soup. Tomato soup.
And
And
Kingston be with that chicken and rice.
Yeah.
Like you got to eat something other than chicken and rice. You
Well,
eat real food.
and they've made it real easy now for her because they've got the cans that you just heat up and then you can drink out of the cup. Oh gosh.
Yes.
That's funny. Scott, from your perspective, you're sitting here and watching these two boys just romp around and have fun. And tell us, like, what goes through your mind when you spend time with someone who's changed their mind.
Oh, for me, it's an extremely emotional moment. It's one thing to have a rescue.
They're like tearing the board down. That's awesome.
It's one thing to have a rescue in the moment, and that's emotional. Seeing the ultrasound is emotional. Being there when the baby is born is crazy emotional. But even this moment, watching Laterica walk through the door with Keyshawn and holding him and just understanding the realness of that moment. If you don't go that day, this doesn't happen. So,
Well, I'll tell you what it does for me on the rescue side and trafficking, seeing the survivor years later, you get to see beyond the rescue and all those days that you had where you were, man, this sucks. How can I keep going? And then it's days like today that for me refueled me, re-encouraged me to go back out and keep fighting the fight. Because so many times, I think we talked about this before, Kevin, is sometimes you only experience the battle, the warfare. You don't really always get to see the victory on the other side. And those rare times that you do get to see the victory is what refueled me, what replenished my spirit to keep going.
And seeing the potential. I saw Keyshawn when he was just a baby, but now you're seeing features emerge and personality and his energy and just hearing him talk. I hear you found a piece of gum. And just seeing his personality now, it's like, wow, you're seeing potential. What the design of God play out. And it just, gosh, he's going to be a teenager one day, and he's going to be a man one day. What's he going to end up doing in society? There's the world's in front of him.
Yeah, we do. My life's mission is in discipleship, making disciples who make disciples, which sounds totally wimpy when I'm sitting here with you two guys, and you carry guns and get guns pointed at your head, and I make disciples. But that's what God. That's my good works that God planned in advance for me to do. So I'm going to be proud of it.
That's right.
I was kind of down and out. About a year ago now, we had a really strong little network of disciple makers in Auburn, Alabama. And then we closed down a business, moved to Tennessee, to Nashville area. And I just was struggling. Like, I was probably a year and a half into not doing that, being out of that. And I was just like, like 10 years of my life, did that make any difference at all? I mean, I was really struggling with that. And I took my boy somewhere and dropped him off, and I had to hang around to pick him back up and a little bit later that night. So I just went to get some coffee, and I'm 5 hours away, 5 driving hours away from where we were before. And, just really struggling with whether my life had made a difference. And go through the drive-through line. I sat there for like 7 minutes, like it took forever to actually get him on the speaker. And then it took forever to get the order placed. And I drive around I'm just frustrated. Like I'm in my flesh. I'm angry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, man, I had so many great things I wanted to do during this hour, and I'm stuck here at this thing, But the guy finally comes to the window and gives me my drink. I'm just like, want to drive away and be done, but then he strikes up a conversation. I'm like, oh, crap. I just wanted to get out of here. But we just chit-chatted. He's like, where are you from? What are you doing in town? I said, I just moved to town. He said, where did you move from? And it's this little town called Opelika, Alabama. Who in the world's going to know Opelika, Alabama? So the kid's like, I just moved back from there recently. And we just kind of followed his story, and he said he just had come to know Jesus through a family that he lived with in Opelika. And I'm like, well, who's the family? I know most everyone down there. And he just named a name, and it was a family that had been in a discipleship relationship with another family that we had been in a discipleship relationship with. So in the midst of all that struggle and frustration and me asking if my life had any meaning, God just showed me like a third-generation disciple, right? He didn't know who I was. I didn't know who he was, which is the beauty of multi-generational disciple making, right? Eventually you outgrow yourself. Yeah, that's one of those moments where I'm like, I really needed to know that there was generational impact on that 10 years of my life.
That's your rescue.
Yeah.
We get rescues in different ways, but that's your rescue right there. It's beautiful.
God gives us exactly what we need when we need it. Like he gave Laterica you exactly when she needed you. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful journey. Let's keep doing it.
Yep, it's awesome.
Well, Laterica, I'm going to put you on the spot for just a second. If you could tell Pastor Scott anything right now, what would you tell him?
I thank him for one. I'm blessed to being able to meet someone like him in my life and change my decisions. And I think he's an awesome man. I really look up to him and brag on him.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you, and I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Erica. Thank you so much. Thank you. You've brought much blessing in my life. So.
Well, Laterica, we thank you so much for being here tonight. We know that you took time out of your schedule to come, but we want you to know that our intent having you on to tell your story is that you can have an impact on other women and couples that find themselves in the same situation you did 2 years ago. Kevin, you want to close this out?
Yeah.
With,
Let me just ask one more question, Laterica, before we close out. There's a good likelihood that at some point there may be a lady that's listening to this that's trying to make that decision. And I know you had shared with us that when you were faced with that decision, you just almost felt helpless, like there was just no one there and no way to make this thing happen. What would you say to that lady that's right there about to make that decision?
It's a hard decision, and I know it's probably seemed like no one understands your situation or what you're going through, but it's always someone that will help. I don't believe it's the right decision to make, so whatever you have to do to eliminate that decision of not having your child, believe that it's always somebody that's there to help you. Pray about it, believe in God, trust in God at all times, and I believe you'll be okay.
Yeah, and I bet there's someone in this room right here you could contact, right? How they get in touch with you, Scott?
That's right. You can find us on email. Is probably the easiest way. Scott@scotthord.com. We have operationsavinglife.org, and we also have Scott Hord Ministries. So reach out to us, and we'll walk with you and journey with you all the way through it.
Awesome. Buckley, thanks for everything today.
Yeah, man.
It's a great day. This is technically episode 4. Glad to have you guys. Follow us on Facebook. If you have anything you want to share or any thoughts about the show, feel free to find us on Facebook at Kingdom Effect Podcast. and we'll look forward to hearing from you. So that wraps up our year.
It does. Wraps up the year. And January is our pornography and how it fuels the
we
sex trafficking
hit the
industry.
hard subjects here, Scott. We don't shy away from
guys, thanks so much. Laterica, thank you again.
Yes.
Scott, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you.
And we'll see all you listeners next time.